Nice.
White Panther, thank you already for these salty bits. Twitch is yet again telling me that my connection is excellent, which is good to hear, seeing as my connection keeps dropping from the provider side. So I'm hoping that it holds for today. Greetings to you, White Panther, and your associates, who I hope shall be joining shortly for yet another lovely Monday stream. I almost said Friday. What does that tell you about my feeling? Yes. So, fun stuff planned today. Assuming the internet holds its shape of a beautiful flat line. Oh, we should also say hello to everyone. I thought I'd leave Facecam on. How about that? Even though technically the challenge was only for one stream, I thought maybe I'll just leave it on. Still a novelty. Thank you, White Panther. This is the way. Yeah, I think it's probably, from the feedback that I have received, I think it is more entertaining for the viewership to see me, for whatever reason that is. I don't fully understand why that is. But apparently it is more entertaining, so we shall leave it this way. You can wear hats, masks. Yes, it's true. I can. I have one mask in particular, which is very cool. Hats, I have a few as well. We could definitely do hats. Sunglasses. I shall note these in my ideas board. So all very good. Stream props. All very good ideas. Thank you very much, White Panther. So sunglasses, hats, masks, other paraphernalia, can even put them as channel rewards. Why not? Cool. So I originally wanted to do a challenge today. Actually, I found a very cool, you know, like those coding challenges. That, like, I don't know, like these hacker things and stuff. Well, I saw that there was a company that had actually published a coding challenge on their site. Unfortunately, I think you need to write to them first to get the data, because there's one data challenge. It's actually all data. It's all data challenges, actually. You hate those coding challenges. No, I mean, it's a real company that uses it for recruitment. So I thought I would solve it on stream and then send them my application with the VOD and be like, look, I did this on stream. So here you go. No context. Yeah, that's why I like the ones that they listed, because it was very specific. But yeah, in the end, we're doing something else. Add it to the board. Pardon you, Ian, and welcome. I always know when Ian is here. I haven't seen you in a while, Ian, or I haven't heard you in a while. Let's say. I was going to do a continuation of Data Camp from Friday, because I actually wanted to continue with the R course. However, they seem to be having some stability issues with the platform today, so I had to fall back on my backup option. Jiboo! The part keep come with loop. Part loop. Welcome, Jiboo, to yet another Monday stream. So as I was explaining, I wanted to do data camp stuff with R, learning R. Bonjour to you. But data camp is having some technical issues today, and I thought, nah, that's not a good topic for a stream. Air console. So yeah, I wanted to stay away from technical issues today. My internet is already like, it could crash at any moment, so just warning you. I hope it stays stable for now. So instead, hence the title of the stream, IOU, which, if you're not familiar with the term, is, you know, like when you promise someone, oh, I'll do this at some point, it's like a IOU. Typically it's used for money. I owe you this stream about TDD, test driven development. Let's see what that is. Hold on, let's find out. Can we switch scenes like this? It seems that we can. So, test-driven development. What is test-driven development? Well, test-driven development is something very common for developers, but in the world of data, unit tests are a little bit different. So it could be interesting, and it's something that I've discussed in the past with several people on stream and off stream, is maybe it would be possible to actually implement test-driven development in a data analytics context. So for that, we first need to understand what is TDD, which I will now refer to as TDD. I will not say test-driven development every single time. What is TDD? Why is it used? And how would we apply it to SQL? Can we write tests in SQL? So the why. Basically, if I had to summarize it, the why of TDD is so that when you write code, it passes criteria that you've already established before you wrote the code to ensure that your code does the thing it's supposed to do. Developers in chat, feel free to give your own opinion about this, whether my definition is good or interpretation is good. So I think that's the why. Now the how is essentially you add a test. So you write a test that has to fulfill certain conditions, and then you run the tests, and then you know, your feature should either fail I mean, it should fail in the beginning because it shows that your code is needed. Like you have to write more code, and so the first stuff will fail, and then you write code as simply as possible until it passes the test, essentially. So in a diagram, it looks somewhat like this. And this is the Wikipedia diagram. There's maybe other diagrams that show a better flow, but it's quite an interesting topic. This stream is too educational.
Nice.
Thank you for the salt. Don't worry, I'll be getting into the part where I have no idea what I'm doing. And that will be soon. And then it won't be educational anymore. So essentially, I've been doing a little bit of research about test-driven development in the context of SQL. And there are, not coincidentally, two very good blog posts from DBT and Dataform. I will explain in a moment what they do. Explaining how to write unit tests for SQL. And so Dataform and DBT are data modeling software. In order to understand what data modeling software is, we need to understand databases first. So if I have a very simple table, like this table of the snowman thing burning times that we did last week, the bug. So in each year I have a burn duration in seconds. This data isn't modeled yet. Like I don't have, for example, average burn over the past 10 years or something like that. So I would want to develop a data model that would account for the data that I have for a particular use case. And some people like to write models that cover multiple different use cases so that you can use the same model for many different things. You only write it once. And some people like to write specific models for specific things. There are up and down sides to both. What's interesting is, so Dataform and DBT are pretty much the two biggest players on the market that allow you to develop, test, and share essentially these data models within the business, which ultimately means that you can share the underlying data much easier. And so the DBT one is actually in their discourse, which is a forum essentially, where they describe a scenario of writing a data model backwards. And I really had to get my head around this first, because when I write queries, I write them from the ground up. I say, okay, what do I want to start with? I start with, okay, let's get a nice data frame. And then, so my data frame consists of, like, for example, a date and then a couple of different data points. And then I'll continue parsing that data frame to get some aggregates or some other metrics in the end, for example. And what's great is, like, what they're talking about is basically doing the exact opposite approach, is say, mock out the final table that you want. So for example, daily subscribers to weekly, weekly subscribers to daily, and subscription month. And they're saying, okay, mock up this thing, and then mock up a query that would produce this. This is the really tricky part. If you don't have any data fields yet, how do you know, if you don't know the underlying structure of the data, how do you even know how to write this query in the first place? So you may have records that have, like, I don't know, in this case, subscription date, right? But it may be on a monthly basis. You don't even know that you could do a daily value, for example. You don't even know that that's possible yet without having looked at the data first. So it's pretty hard to imagine a scenario where this works. And as I was reading, oh wow, that wasn't Ian. White Panther has triggered the fart loop. If you want to know more about White Panther, that's the second trumpet sound for you in a very short amount of time. She leads our Discord community that I'm part of, proud member of. And I think it's something that everyone should consider joining. It's a beautiful community. Toot toot. Not the same as Canhorn, right? Meep meep. But this Discord community is truly a special place. Thank you, Ian, for the salty bits. I suppose you're quite happy with Panther playing the fart sound. It's probably, I don't know, like a form of identification or gratification to see someone else also play it. And feel free to save up your channel points now to use them on the sounds as well, because we don't have a challenge going at the moment. So yeah, when I was reading about that difficulty, it's basically a unit test verifies that the SQL query logic should be correct. Thank you, I found. Because we don't have the underlying data. The underlying data is constructed at the time that we write the query. So we have to basically make layers of abstraction in between so that we can apply TDD to SQL. And so essentially, they're talking about faking inputs. And this looks like an interesting example. Couldn't find any songs to play. Okay. I guess we will switch stations. We obviously got to the end of the internet. Thank you, Pretzel. So first we define a data set. So we have, let's say, our data set that we have here. This is a simple example. What are you trying to yate, Jibu? Tell me what you want to yate. So we have a data set. Nice. Thank you for the bits, Panther. And if we have this data set, now we have to define what the unit test for that would be. Like, what do we want to validate here? So we want to, for example, Maddie just trying to be all education. Yeah, it's hard. Maddie is education. I don't know if I'm education. I'm educating myself. I don't know about everyone else. But like, if we, like the data schema, oh, I didn't want to do that. The data schema is already validating things like because we have this as an integer, this, for example, could not be text values, right? That's what the table schema does. Schema. Shaman? Stefan? Schema. Schema. Well, I don't, look, the reason I say schema is because scheme is like a negative word. So if you say schema, it's like someone's plotting something evil against your database. That's my understanding anyway. So what they're talking about here is like an assertion. Where you have like some inputs from this table.
Nice.
Amazing. Regex, or regex as they say in Spain. Integer. Integer. What does integer stand for? Interpolated German or something. Pronunciation is hard, people. You just get ripped apart on stream for just saying things how you say them. At least I don't have to listen to all the comments about oh, what's your accent? I like it so much. Where are you from? So we have to write integer, stop every stream. I know Panther, I know. Love your accent. Where are you from? This is a British accent. So we have to write like an assertion for our data set. That's the first part. But if we had to write, what if we had to write like not only to validate the underlying data, but what if we actually had to validate our actual data model? So I'm trying to figure out how I would go about this, and that's why this stream today is a little bit cursed, because I have no idea how to do this. I'm leaning hard out the window. Hey, that was good. Community challenge for a whole stream in a British accent. Oh no. No. There's too many videos of me attempting British accents in the past, and I don't want any of those to come up. Don't want any of those to come up. I don't want any clips of me to be made saying weird words in a British accent. It's too harsh. It would have to be a sub goal. Jay Walter. It would be a short stream. Yeah. Like 6 minutes. Shortest stream ever. End stream, say goodbye, come back online 4 minutes later. Just make myself a cuppa, and then that's it. I don't understand the logic behind people kind of harping on people's accents. Like whether they think it's good or bad, like it's not something that someone has actively tried to change in most cases. There may be some people who maybe tried in the past to change their accent or something, but like when you hear someone on stream, there's like a 99.999% chance that they had nothing to do with how their accent came to be. So when you say to them, oh, I really love your accent, it's like, I didn't do anything to do that, thank you. It's just a bit odd. Anyway, so I've been stalling because I still don't exactly know. I don't know what to do with this. If we take a query we've written and try to reverse engineer it based on the output we want, that could be one way. Stalling nice. Salt. Thank you for the bit, Panther. Tell me more about this PJ Salt emoji. I'm not familiar with this emote. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on that? It seems to be all over the place. I actually only found out about the salt from your stream. Didn't know about this before. Ian started it. Okay, Ian, the ball's been passed to you. You now have to explain the history of salt. So if I had a query, let's say I was trying to develop something with this table, with the snowman. We could do something like this. Okay, so I have to write a query, or I have to first visualize what I want my end table to look like. I mean, we're talking SQL, so salt is great, boom. Mic drop. It's clear, totally clear. During a big game of raft. Because of the seawater? Because it's salty. Salt is great, makes everything taste very good. Or better than it was before. I don't get it. Yeah. I'm not understanding a lot of things in today's stream, which is fine. It's totally fine. So we have to have an end table format. We have to already visualize what we want to have. We could do this, as they suggested, with sheets.new. Rip Google Drive, because there's just tons of untitled spreadsheets in my Google Drive. Return of the Zombies. Very ominous music for creating a Google Drive spreadsheet, but okay. So let's say I want to have year, and then I want to have
nice.
Rip Google Drive. So I want to have year. This is my end result table I want to have. I want to have year, and then average burn time last 3 years rolling. Super ominous. I don't know if I can even write code to this. This is really... So then it would have, for example, 1952 would be null. 1953 would be null. Building up the tension here. 1954 would also be null. No, it wouldn't. We would have 3 years of data. We'd have basically 360 plus 480 plus 240. I'm a spreadsheet musician. Is that what I should call myself? So this is how it would work. Seems like a solid approach. So now I know what I want my output to be. Now I would have to write code that matches this end result. And that would be my test? That's super confusing. Okay, we'll change. I come in and White Panther is talking about rhythmic spreadsheet writing. What? Yeah, this is a pretty entertaining stream so far. Google is receiving a lot of pings from my internet today because I have a ping running, so that I can see if my connection drops on stream, because I think Twitch would be too slow to tell me that there's something wrong with it. That's my assumption. So the end table format, good. Now we have to write the query for the end table format. That would be the next logical step for me. So we have to write something that results in this. Panther's face hurts. That's fantastic. I consider that a win. Most definitely. I do have tons of sound effects, but I don't have enough buttons on here to play all the different sound effects and have the shoutouts and have scene switching stuff and have mute and all that stuff. I just need another iPad or like Stream Deck, but they're so expensive. I'll think about that. Would love to have like funny sound effects. I've seen so many streams where they use sound effects so well. I have a feeling like you can really use them in a special way to accentuate certain points that you make. I mean, I'm not talking about like the shout out stuff. I'm talking about like actual sound effects when you say something weird, then there's like sad trombone or whatever. Anywho, so this is my end result that I want. And how do I test? How do I even? So if I write a query for this, but then I'm writing the actual query. So my data doesn't do this yet, which is why I need to write a query in order for it to do that. And then the test is whether my query returns this. So this is the unit test. I would have preferred to have a unit test in SQL itself to assert on the query to say, does my query fulfill this SQL? But in hindsight, I'm realizing that you can write the same query, or you can write this for the same end result in like a million different ways. So maybe this is the unit test. Let's copy this. So if that's my end table format, aka unit test, then now I have to write a query that fulfills exactly this purpose. Where is this table? MISC? It's a good place for it. Has anyone learned SQL from watching me write SQL who didn't know SQL before? I would love to know if someone's picked up on something from like these hundreds of hours of streaming since December, whether they've actually picked up some SQL just by watching the stream and not having known any SQL beforehand. That would be super, super cool. And if you haven't, it's definitely your fault, not mine. Just saying. %. Nothing to do with me. I am education, as White Panther said. So I would do distinct year, and then my fault for knowing SQL before. Sorry, I know SQL. Ian, I am education. Ian, you're definitely the educator when it comes to noxious gases and sounds. Select distinct from child poverty where house equals to... That's a really good one, Panther. Jay Walter, seen a lot of things I did not know about SQL, but now using it in my daily work right now. Everyone apologizing for knowing SQL. I think that's the best part. I'm sorry, I know SQL. Don't touch me. I know SQL, please. That would be a terrible movie plot. Oh, not using. Sorry, I misread this. Panther, it means you know SQL. Because you were able to formulate. Okay, there's a distinct star asterisk missing there if you wanted to have the entire table. But it's close. It's very close. Wouldn't this be a terrible movie plot? Like a hacker's movie, but for data analysts. And there's like a bomb, and then there's a riddle that comes up, and you have to write SQL. To disarm the bomb. It's like select, do not detonate from bomb where time less than. I wouldn't even know how to make this. We'd have to collab on that. I wouldn't know how to make like something that generates a challenge like that. I have to think about that. Okay, we'll think about it. Put it in. We'll put it in the potentials. Bomb challenge game in SQL. Decipher a regex. Oh, it's like multi-layered. So the first challenge is SQL, and then there's a regex one. I don't even know what to classify this as. I don't know. It goes somewhere around here, it goes. Of the first movie, there will be a sequel. J. Walter, no! What have you done? Now I know how Panther feels about her face hurting. Because once you start laughing too much. Yeah. Like the whole, yeah, like I really imagine like a sort of Die Hard-esque scenario. One of my favorite movies. Sequel. The sequel. So we should develop a new programming language called Prequel. Sequel the sequel, locked database. It's like when one man, one challenge. And he's got like really like this, just this code on screen with this tiny little, super tiny little keyboard. He has to type like SQL on a phone or something ridiculous. I would love to produce this movie. PG SQL versus MySQL. Oh, now you're getting into the weeds, Jibbo. Now you're getting... That's really raw stuff. We know who wins, right? You and I both know who wins that one. The distinct year, if I want to do an average of the last 3 years rolling, I need to make a partition with lag? No, wait. What if I rank? What happens? If I rank them always every 3 years. No, that's not how to do it. Elephant versus dolphin. One man, one challenge. Do perform a left join with foreign keys. Where are you getting this material, Panther? I thought you didn't know anything about database stuff. I thought you didn't know about that stuff. Or you've been doing some very good Google work. From my very limited experience of SQL. Ha! So I have taught you something about left joins and foreign keys. It can be like Sharknado, but without sharks. Just SQL queries falling from the sky. Random movie script generator.lol. Yeah. I think that probably exists, J. Walter, to be honest. I think that probably exists. I mean, I use something similar. If you all like to see something hilarious. I have a little test site that I play with. Don't judge, it's a joke. No, I knew all this stuff. I was a tech lead for years. Oh yeah, that's true. Very true. So there's this joke site that I made to be able to like test analytics stuff and whatever. And one of the fun things that I did was I generated real team members. And the way that I did that was I used an AI that generates pictures of people that don't exist. So from real images, it generates another person who doesn't exist. So I wouldn't have any copyright with the image. I wouldn't have any issues using someone's picture. And then I just made up some names, and I went to like some character movie generator thing. And it basically generates characters for whatever purpose. I'm going to use this on the random website generator. Yes, you should. 100%. I don't remember where I got this from, but I'm sure that it exists also in NPM as a module or something. Who knows? And it's so brilliant because the descriptions, the descriptions are so direct that you would kind of believe that it's a real person, but you also might wonder about some of the descriptions. So like Sam, a 20-year-old former personal trainer who enjoys watching sports, camping, and watching television. She's friendly and caring, but can also be very dull and a bit moody. You'd be like, why are they writing this on a website? Sophie is a 24-year-old PPE student who enjoys jigsaw puzzles, been watching box sets, and stealing candy from babies. And at the latest, at this point, you're like, okay, I think this is a troll. There's Paul Adams. Paul is a 36-year-old man traumatized by the loss of his right pinky when he was 3. He has eyes like planets. His biggest fear is losing his sight. He must use his talent for kung fu to heal people around him before he can work on his own problems. And when I was generating this stuff, it was just too good. Jane Doe. Jane is a fascinating mother who finds it hard to put herself in other people's shoes. People often compare her to a wild animal. Her top quality is that she is particularly adventurous. Her purpose in life is to find a soulmate. And I just generated these like on the fly, and it was glorious. So yes, please do use this kind of stuff. How did we get to this? I don't remember. I need to somehow average the last 3 years. So if I do average of burn duration seconds, then I get average burn time. And this does nothing for me. Oh, I've forgotten group by. You know what that means. We have to start the counter. I wonder if I reset it. Oh no, I didn't reset it last time. Well, I'll probably forget it more, so don't worry about it. Put that in my reminder. Okay. So we have a very basic query that doesn't do what we want to yet, because it has to be for the last 3 years. But this is the problem. How would we know that this is 3 years worth of data? Like, I can generate this table. This table technically matches this. Oh, and whatever, I don't need this. This table technically matches this criteria. Because I could call it average burn time last 3 years. Rolling. Voila. It matches, right? It's not correct, but it matches. How would we know? I don't know how to apply this to SQL. I'm not smart enough to do this. I really do not know how we would actually write a test that checks that we are checking 3 years worth of data. In this case, 3 rows. I mean, of course, maybe you could build a GUI in Visual Basic to catch the killer. Maybe. Enhance. Enhance! Enhance! Okay, we have his IP address. We're good. I just wouldn't know how to write this test in the first place. What would be the actual code for 3 years rolling? We'd have to know, we'd have to group 3 rows at a time. So we'd have to do basically with Visual Basic, the DB is Excel, no? Smart, Jibbo. Very smart. Very smart. We'd basically have burn time plus, what is it, lag? Over year. Can I not do this? Oh, it's not called burn time. That's why. I can't do it because it's not called burn time. Obviously. Okay. Oh, yeah, of course. I deleted the over clause. Wonderful. And this is no longer... See? Group by. Here we go. Oh! Look who has arrived. Welcome to the stream, that noob. And shout out to you for your last stream, 89, episode 89 of Memebox. Wow. How are you, that noob? Are you well? I hope you are well. It's been a while since we chatted last, actually. So 360 plus 480 is 840. 360 plus 480.
Nice.
Salt for noob. Fun that that didn't get auto-modded. 2 days left of my support week, then I'm done for a month. Nice. Nice. Okay, so that's lag one direction. So that's lag up. Can you give me a lag up? I'm sorry. That was terrible. I need a lag up on this one. I can't reach this query. Please. Plus, so we do the same thing but in the opposite direction. What does lag do? So lag, it is offset basically. So it goes either up or down from the row that you're currently running the query in. So in that sense, it's what it's doing is it's running from it's running from here from 360. It's going up one and down one. When it goes lag positive, so there's two, there's lead and lag. Lead is the opposite of lag. Lag is what you have when you're on a shitty internet connection like me. Or rather the modem is not working properly. But it seems to be holding. So basically lag 1 is going down to 480 and doing 360 plus 480. And then lag -1 is going up 1. Technically you could do lead 1, but it doesn't really matter. It's like, you know, left or right trim. You can trim from the right or trim from the left if you're, depends what you're trying to do, the direction. So this one, we actually want, oh, I've done this the wrong way because I actually want like this. So these two are null. That's what we expect. And then the first one is going to be 360 plus 480 plus 240 average of these. We should make an alias like that. As. Makes sense to people? I don't know what I'm doing here with this formatting. Again, stalling. It's just a very long line, but it doesn't matter. Aggregate function calls cannot contain window function calls. Of course. I kind of don't even have a use case for that function. Well, in this case, it's very clear what we need to do. You see? I cannot use average function in this particular situation because I cannot aggregate together with a function like lag or lead, a window function. And here's the first problem. If I was trying to write a unit test for this query, How? Yeah, noob, it's very clear.
Nice.
Y'all are trolling hard today. But I love you all so very much, so it's fine. I cannot use that function together, which means I'm in trouble because I don't know. In advance, I wouldn't have known that necessarily, so I wouldn't have known how to write a test for it. Does this make sense? This is so mind-boggling for a Monday.
Nice.
Rip. Makes 0 sense, to be honest. Sorry, not sorry. Don't have to be sorry. It's not like you're Canadian and need to apologize. No, you cannot group by in this case. It doesn't matter with the group by. It's because you cannot use an average function here to do it like this. It just won't allow you to do a window function in the average. The solution is relatively simple. You have a data frame like this, and you do select star from, and you do a nested subquery, and you call this T, and then you do group by 1. I already know that I'm going to need that, so I do it now so I don't forget it. And then I do year, and then average of average burn time. Like this. Voila. There's something weird here. That's not correct. This is 1080. How's the average? Oh. You need to do it. But if you know you're adding 3 elements, you can divide by 3. Insignia Man, nice to see you in chat. Thank you for joining. Hello, and yes. But what if you were not dividing by 3 all the time? What if you had... I mean... So you could do basically this divided by 3. I suppose in each one you would know how many elements you would know how many elements you're dividing by. It's a legitimate point, Mr. Incio. Or Incio, if you're Italian. Where are you from, by the way, Incio? So... Ah! Look at that! I didn't know. That was just a guess. You love my streams. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. What do you like the most? What's your favorite thing? Don't say face cam because it's only been on since last stream. Yeah, divide by 3. That could work in this case. So how would I have written the unit test for this? That's the real question. Yeah, people's obsession with facecam, man. I don't know what it is. It's really one of those things. So I don't know how I would have written a test for this. I only would have written basically this is the test. The way you've defined the output frame, columns and rows, two-dimensional data set is the test, aka the unit test. The question is, how can you run this against your query result? How can you assert that? That's the real question. I'm a data engineer, so I kind of love data in general, and I love to see you playing around with different technologies, especially on a Monday evening. Respect. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Really appreciate that. I mean, that's the reason that I'm streaming, so because I like to play around with this different stuff and explore these kinds of topics. And I mean, test-driven development is something you're probably familiar with, right? Coming from a more data engineering background, you can easily write tests to see whether your pipeline failed or not. I suppose it depends on the pipeline, but generally it's quite easy to write those kinds of tests, or you have monitoring running anyway to see if things fail. But with the actual data itself, this is really tricky. So I would have this as a test, and then this is my query, and how do I assert this onto my query and say, this query has to return this. Basically, the only way I know how to do that is by basically having a query check this against this result. So this would be created as a table, and then if your query matches the end result in the table, that could work. So if I had, for example, this into, let's call it misc dot random test. So what I've done is I've now created a table. This is a super cool trick, by the way. You can just write select into, and if you have write privileges, you can create tables in your database. You just have to define the schema and the table name. Schema, excuse me, Panther. And so if I had this table with random tests, and this is my unit test, and then I have this query, I could do like a thing that says, I could have like select star from misc. Oh, I wrote something very bad there. I hope no one saw that. This is my unit test, okay. And then I'm gonna do left join, not schema? Schema? I had this debate before, that noob. Basically for me, a scheme is like a negative thing. So if I say schema, then it's like attacking the database. I'm plotting something against my data, which I'm not. I'm really not. I have nothing against my data, I promise. So now if I do a left join onto misc dot, oh no, sorry. Okay, so this is my test as. Okay, bear with me. So this is my test. Oh, I don't think I can write test. I think it's a reserved keyword. Let's try unit test. And then I do, this is my query. Oh, I don't know what we call this. Analytical query. As. And then I have some query, right? Whoa, what was that? What the? What weird formatting was that? Okay. And then basically I do select star from test, from unit test, A, left join, That's what I said, noob. Yeah, Panther. That's what you said. Incio, have to leave. We'll watch the stream later. Have a nice evening. You enjoy your evening as well. It is obviously quite late for us Europeans. You can watch the stream on Twitch for 14 days, and then afterwards you can watch it on YouTube on my VOD playlist, where they are all available. And now I write unit test left join analytical query B on b.year equals a.year. Oh nice, tab 9 helping out. And if I do select star from this, then I have the same data sets left and right. And then I would need to write a test here. Oh yeah. And I would have to say where a.year is unequal to b.year, or b. What did we call it? Average burn time is not equal to a. I wrote this the wrong way. For consistency, we'll write it like this. So no results, which is what we want. However, this is pretty complex for the very simple reason that if I had my end result, I would have to write my test differently, because otherwise I've already written the query I need in order to generate this table with the data that I need. Who understands that? Basically, in this case where I'm calculating the last 3 years, the average of the last 3 years, then I would have had to write this already in order to generate this table, which makes running this query against this table as a comparison useless. What would make sense is if the values were randomized, wow, I ran out of, what? Ran out of music again? That can't be. That's craziness. The whole of Pretzel's library, please. It's the YouTube safe is off. What do you want? Okay, so what I'm thinking is, if I just had a table with all the years, so let's do it differently. Random test. We're gonna drop this. We're gonna create a test. Select random. Oh, we want it to be a year, right? So we'll do from Karate Kid? Daniel LaRusso? I don't think so. Maybe? I don't know. Does he make music now? So if we wanted to generate a table of years, then we would do generate series. Generate series. We do 2020 01 01. Oh, then let's start in like 1950, for example. So my data starts, let's say, in 1952, right? Date. 20, when does it go to? 2019. I would know that because I'm writing a test for it. Okay. Date. And then I would say interval 1 day. Oh, this seems wrong. Generate series. See, I've visited all these sites before because I always forget the interval. Where is the interval? Oh, okay. So interval 1 year. What does this give me? Nice, look, I get all the years, right? Date. Oh wait, I want to extract generate series date, and I want to extract year from generate series as year. Okay, so I've generated. We all revisit Stack Overflow or other sites, just accepted you are a developer. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. So I've generated the years that I need, okay? Now I would have burn duration in seconds. I would write an assertion for this. Okay, I'll call this year. And then I would write another one. Can I do rand between? I think you can specify random, right? Oh, yeah. To generate a random number between 1 and 11. If you want to generate the random number as an integer, you have to floor it. Okay. Which I can. So to generate a random number between two integers, L and H, use the following statement. What? User-defined function? No. What? There's probably like an easier way to do this, but random integer range. Okay. See? Easy peasy. Select, floor. Oh, I don't need to select. Random. Because random returns between 0 and 1, and I want it to be an integer. So this is between... the burn duration is minimum 1, and maximum, I don't know, 10,000, let's say. As burn duration seconds. Okay, so we have like a random data set. Now what you do is you do this into misc.unitTest. Voila. So now there's a unit test table. And if I run the same query as before, This is called unit test, right? Okay, and this is a dot burn duration seconds is not equal. It's gonna return every single row because I randomized them. So I can't determine if the values are correct. What I can determine if the syntax of the query is correct by saying that a.burn second durations or whatever is of the same type as burn time. How can I assert? Oh, SQL where clause data type? I'm not sure. Check if integer. Is integer UDF? No. Ooh, is numeric. I think that exists. Ooh, pattern matching. It's pretty difficult. Problem is the 2, 0 or more 9 elements on each side of the decimal point. So this is very, very hard to check. Is numeric. So someone made a function for that. I don't think that will work. Test if text can be cast. To number. String and format. But we'd have to, I would want to check Postgres, check if value is integer. 2009. Oh, there's a gist. What? Someone wrote a regex for this. Does it work? Interesting. Let's try this out. My text. False. And if I write 0, true. 0.0, true. I see. Okay, but that wouldn't be the right thing to do in our case. I feel like if you have destination values, then you could just check if the value is within the range of the max or min. Could do like that. Or b.average burn time greater than the max of a dot burn duration seconds. We cannot use max in this. We can't use max within a where function. Wonder if anyone has any ideas on how to do this. I mean, I can use a max function in, what's it called? The thing that's after where? Having. Oh, excuse me. I could do like that. But then we need to group by which ones? Oh, of course, the min of this is for each row separate. We need to do select. We need to do a subquery. Select max a blah 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 from unit test. Because this retrieves the whole table. Interesting. So for example, the minimum here. Oh yeah, it doesn't know where it is. It must know. Okay, let's try less than the max. Just trying to see if this query is even working. Can I use this in where? I think I can actually. Ooh. No. No aggregates and wheres, of course. Okay, so group by 1 and 3? I don't know. Burn duration seconds. 2, 3. We have to group by all of them. This is very strange. Some of these values are definitely less than the max. So this is not working properly. Fine. What if we move this? Okay, we'll move this entire thing to here. And this is the max burn duration seconds. Okay. Okay. Select star from. Oh, right, because. Yeah, okay. It's already excluding these. We need to take the where condition out from T1. Where. Ooh, okay, we would need to rename them. So a.year as test year. b.burn. What did we call it? Sorry, a.burn something as test burn. And then b.year as data year. b.burn duration seconds as data burn. Okay. Well, this is the average, sorry. Okay. So this here Yeah, okay. It doesn't know where unit test is because it's up here. Okay. Let's just run this like that. More than one row returned by a subquery uses an expression. Eh? Oh, distinct. Too many values. There we go. So the max burn duration in seconds is 7705 for each row. And then, why is this not, what? I would have expected this to give me the value of the whole thing. Whatever the max value was in test burn. Strange. These are all equal. Max, but it's not a windowed function. Max. Max. Ah, what if I do over? And I don't partition? Could that work? That seems messy. I'm not sure this is even possible, people. You know that? Weird. Strange stuff happening with my also Twitch view, the stream manager. So Noob was a bit AFK. I wanted to write a condition to have the max from the table to test against, but I don't think I can do it here. I think I need to self-join. Because yeah, that's why. I need to do it outside. Because if I do it in here, it was just your presence Noob, it was already enough. Look at that. Yeah, I've done this in some query before. The main issue for me is, as a strategy, like test-driven development as a strategy, I really kind of wonder. I really wonder how this could be applied to SQL. So if we look for example here, in this article or in this post, they were describing an end table, which we also have. We have our end table that looks like that, right? And then they wrote pseudocode, so they can take a guess as to what the SQL should look like, and we wrote actual code. So this one here, the analytical query. We wrote this query and it works completely fine. It generates exactly what we need. The issue is, when you want to go ahead and test this, match this up with source data, Does everything match up? There's not a lot of detail about that. I feel like it might be even more confusing. So Dataform has written a unit test for things like ages. So it checks that all the ages are present. But this is for validating the data in the data set and not validating the data that you generated out of a query. That's the key difference for me. If I was going to do this, then I would write an analytical query and I would want to have an expectation of what the data should look like, which is, for example, this unit test, right? This is what my data should look like. It's just bogus data, but this is what it should look like in the end. Obviously, this is a very simplified example. I didn't want to do this with something more complicated for, yeah, this reason, as you see, right? But if I have a test and I have my query and I just put them together, right? And this is what it looks like together. So I have 1961, 1961. The test burn was 7705, my data burn was 460. Like, how am I supposed to test this? I can't write a test for this. Unless I'd actually gone and written the query and then validated my query against the query. That makes no sense, right? This is nonsense. It's pure nonsense. I can understand this approach. I can understand going into a Google Sheet and saying, this is what my final data model should look like. That makes sense to me. But how is that test-driven development? I don't think it is. I don't feel like it is test-driven development. Those of you who are developers in chat, and I know like that Noob and Panther and all that you are developers. Do you feel that this would suffice as a unit test for my SQL query? Saying, for example, this is what I want my end result to be, and then I write the code here, in this case. I write this code to match that output that I want. Could be enough. Could be enough to design that also for more complicated scenarios, saying this is what I want my final output to look like. But what if I'm doing very explorative work? What if I'm doing something like, what if I'm doing something with, for example, weather data? So for example, this is our weather table. Usually you have code that matches the output automatically, not manually. Yeah, exactly. Because your code needs to pass those tests. But I can't write a query that passes a test because the way you write the query depends on the underlying data and not what code does intrinsically. Does that make sense? It's a cool song. So if I have weather data and I actually don't know, like I'm just exploring the data set and writing queries for explorative purposes, how would I even write a unit test for that? I don't know what the end result is supposed to look like. I really don't know. Jay Walter, have a great stream. Logging off here. Thank you for joining. It's very appreciated. Hope you enjoyed yourself today and hope to see you again soon. Maybe there are some articles on how to do this in a best practice way. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I looked with so apply unit testing to SQL queries. I found, oh, this is quite new. I'm working on a SQL query, not trivial. I'm trying various approaches. I believe I may have found a solution that works, that produces the correct solution. How can I be sure? How can I try to further refine and optimize the query while maintaining its integrity? I'm still in a development phase where I make quick changes and want to get quick feedback. SQL is not embedded in an application. Blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
Rest in peace, indeed. Given a test dataset that I have set up, I know that the query should produce, even before starting work on the SQL. Ah, so there is a test case. Okay. So I can test the query by comparing that expected result with the actual outcome. A quick tool-free way. Create a view. Create a test query that compares the outcome for this view with the inline okay. Create a script that runs through the test queries. Union all. Yeah, see? Yeah. So this is the super easy way. Assuming that this even works for most cases. This query should return 0 rows. Applied to SQL challenge in this article, SQL only counting records sufficiently spaced apart using analytics with windowing clause and anti-join. What is this? A SQL challenge was presented to me by a colleague. Okay. Login events, blah, blah, blah. Visually, okay. All records are marked with a star are counted. All other records within 2 hours from a starred record and therefore excluded because they're duplicate. SQL match recognize? Never even heard of this. The code is so small, you can't even read it. What is this? Match recognize? I've never heard of that. SQL match recognize. I think that's an Azure specific. Oof, that's... I think that's specific to Azure. Never heard of that. There are pattern matching stuff with like and not like. Similar to... I don't like this. Sorry. Regex replace... Okay, never heard of that. Interesting. So... Recursive subquery, yeah. Oh, Oracle, yeah. Okay, so this is very Oracle based. Select star from logins model, partition dimension. The third solution is the most cryptic one. Cell block starter? What the hell? Interesting. So when you have queries like this in the first place, how would you even... So you create a view that you believe is the correct solution. So you see they've been writing here expected result. They've just been writing some like fictitious data into these various places. SQL query test harnesses. A simple, straightforward way of testing a SQL query under development does not exist out there. Huh. Concluded that leveraging the database itself for comparing query result with the expected results is the obvious way to go. Huh. That's what I was talking about. Seems that they've come to the same conclusion. That makes me feel a lot better. There are several ways for defining expected results: records in a special table, hard-coded and stored procedure, or hard-coded in a statement. Lightweightedness versus reusability. JSON table. Oh yeah, okay. So you could create a JSON document into a relation set. So there isn't an easy way to do this, essentially. Not an easy way to do this. Oh, okay. Here's one for BigQuery, which is similar to Postgres in language. I think we need to change this as well. Sorry. Maybe this one? Oh, there's a lot of classics now coming up. It's strange. That's better. So how to link multiple queries, how to automate unit testing. Ah, here we go. Ooh, this looks very promising. For every transaction ID, there is only one and only one. Transaction IDs are consecutive. UDF test 1, UDF test 2. Ah. Stored procedure. Now we're getting somewhere. So the first part generates a source data set. Second one tests the logic behind user-defined function. Okay. So imagine we have some base table which we need to test. For this example, I'll use a sample with user transactions. Very common case. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we have a burn duration per year. That's fine. Same thing. Same principle. So for every transaction, there is only one created at. So we would write this case as for every year, there's only one burn duration. Okay. We can write that. I can just adapt this. So select concatenates the test name and the case statement. Okay. Oh, let's leave that in there for now. Select concat. For every year, there's only one and only one. Okay. Case when one or more subqueries, in this case an expected value and an actual value, must be equal for the test to pass. Count distinct year from misc dot. Oh, did we save the result of our query? I don't think we did, right? Misc. Let's call this average burn time. Okay, so we should get average burn time. We'll drop the unit test for now because I don't think we need that. Okay. Voila. Okay, so we have select count distinct year from misc average burn time. Expected value equals select count distinct year from burn time. Wait a second. Where is his... Ah, test data 1. Okay. So we'll do count year for that to pass. Then the else branches of the case statement. Okay. Passed. Okay. Interesting. So if we had in this table, if we had another row for 1953, for example, ooh, but look, some years are missing. Why is that? Uh-oh. Interesting. Some years are missing. See? 54, 55 are missing. So it means my query is wrong, but the test still passed because every year still only occurs once. I mean, this test is correct. For every year, there's only one and only one. But what's the second test? Consecutive. So our base table is sorted in the way we need it. So consecutive numbers of transactions, and then you wrap the two tests together with a union. Okay. Interesting. So you can pass up everything into a function. User-defined function. It's based on JavaScript. Okay, so this goes already out of SQL. This is already past just pure SQL test-driven development. Because my objective was to write something that's in pure SQL that you can use on your server. And I think this is a valid thing where you're writing basically tests that your ultimate data set needs to pass against. That makes sense for me. That makes sense for me. What doesn't make sense is I have missing years, for example. What if I do without a distinct? Why are these years missing? I don't understand. Lag? Oh, come on. So do I need to generate it for every row? Oh, maybe some of them are actually missing. Maybe some of them are actually missing. Oh, they are. Sorry. I didn't realize that some of these were actually missing. That's embarrassing. Oh dear. Yeah. The reason they're missing is because there was no snowman burn that year. That's the reason. That's the reason, noob. So it's fine. I didn't mess up something. That's good. So every year that we have is existing. But if I made, for example, a data set. Oh yeah, see? So these are my years. Okay. So here I have every year. Okay. When I do, let's take this into up here. It's my unit test. And now what I do is I do select. I don't need that. Ugh, this is also, oh, this is so messy. Why did we do this? Okay, so look, see, data year has missing values here, right? So I could say left join blah 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 where a dot year where b dot year is null. These are the missing ones. That's also a test. Basically, if I did like this, I wrote another test, I could say, okay, I need to write this into a database now, into a table. So I'm going to do into misc dot data test. Okay. So now I can write another test. For example, for every year, there is a value in burn time. Okay, what the? Okay, case when, select, count. What would we do here? Misc, what did we call it? Data test. Count distinct year where test year, is it test year? No, it's data year. Data year is null. Equals 0. And then we run this test year. Distinct data year. For every year there is a value in burn time. Past. I feel like there's an issue with my test. Data year, null. Ah, right. We have to test the count of distinct, what was it? Test year. We can copy this because we're going to need it in a second. Is equal to this data year. Failed. See, the test failed because the count of these years is not equal to the count of these years. So you can write these types of tests, it seems. This is just a way to write it with case when, with a concat, so it looks a bit fancy. And if you want to union these, so you would do union all, and then we can run this whole thing. Yep. So that is test-driven development, basically. Yeah. Noob. That's quite interesting that you can use a unit test like a SQL query. Yeah. Essentially, I mean, this is obviously a very nice format. We can also name these. You can name concat as, you can call the field name, you can call it a unit test, right? Instead of concat, it's a bit prettier. I could see myself using this, to be honest. I could see myself using this because I have, for example, something written on a post-it here, which you won't understand, but essentially I wanted to compare data from one of our systems, which is like a CMS that captures last login data, because people have to authenticate to use our product. It captures last login time. I wanted to compare that with a behavioral data set that we have to see how much differentiation there is. So I wanted to basically reconcile on user level and say, how accurate is the behavioral data that we're collecting? And so I could easily write a test like that and say, for every user, there is an entry in my behavioral data set. And I would say, count distinct user ID from my data master is equal to my count distinct user ID from my test data, like from my behavioral data set. And this would either pass or fail. Definitely. I could see that being useful. 100%. Yeah, I could see that being useful. It's quite an interesting approach, and I'm not sure how we would automate this, but you could definitely write, you can put SQL in any kind of pipeline, like Airflow, and then, yeah, you could basically just run it. It would totally work. It would definitely work. So that's what I wanted to do today. So we achieved our goal. I wanted to look at test-driven development in SQL, and that's what we did. I'm pretty happy about that. And that means we can end stream. And everyone who has been here before knows what that means. It's a new scene with me on it this time. Thank you, Noob, for your suggestion, because I actually used your suggestion that you made about creating like a base scene and using that base scene in OBS within the other scenes, and then you only need to modify it once, which is super cool. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to our new followers, Concolin, I guess. Thank you also FSAB75 and Zanoi. And thank you everyone for the cheers. Again, Jibo and Panther just blowing off all the salt. Ian as well, chipping in there with his 38 salt bits. Thank you, Ian, as well, for joining. Noob, thank you for joining as well. And everyone else, thank you for joining. It's been a fun time today. I've had fun. I feel like I achieved something.
Nice.
Thank you, Shibo. We are going to see who to raid. I think it's clear. I think it's very clear. Yes, it's very clear who we're going to raid. I wish you all a lovely Monday evening, and I hope that we see each other again soon. Friday, for example. We will be raiding Melkydev, because he's a fellow Canadian like myself and a great streamer. So enjoy and see you next time.